If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Racy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Here.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Webster,
Here.
Councilman Dowd,
Here.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Here.
Councilman Wagner. Quorum is present. Item number 1 is, 1A is public hearing to consider the streetlight special assessment.
Okay. We're going to start off a couple things. When I have people come forward, please say your name and address. We just have to record it for legal purposes tonight for this particular meeting. And then if the city attorney could just kind of give he's going to give you an overview of why we're here tonight.
Sure. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Essentially, when a special assessment like a streetlight assessment is proposed, there are a number of steps you have to go through, a number of resolutions. There are 2 public hearings. We already had the first hearing. I believe that was back on the 18th?
Yes.
Of last month, where the public was able to speak and give their opinion on what they thought, whether there should be a special assessment, or if so, what an appropriate length of time would be. Since then, the council did pass a resolution setting it at 5 years, a continuation of the previous amount. So then the assessment roll has now been prepared. So state law requires that the council have another public hearing to hear objections to that roll. So now is your opportunity to indicate to the council that you, as far as the amount of the assessment on your property, or, I mean, I guess the council would hear on other comment too with respect to the special assessment. So I believe it's 3 minutes, just like it would be an ordinary public comment. So I hope that's provides some clarification.
Okay, thank you. Anybody in the audience have a public comment?
Good evening to the council.
Oh,
And also-
sorry, the public hearing is now open. I have to do that technically. Go ahead.
Okay, so I can sit down now?
No, you can talk now. Sorry.
You're good.
First of all, I'd like to thank Tina Stanky for helping me going in the right direction to gather the information that I have this evening. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you please give your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to, okay.
Thank
My
you.
name is Rick Stoner.
Thank you.
I live on Hillcrest in Wayne. Do you need the address?
Yes, please.
37540. Okay. First item is that, and I'm going to label this as number 1, I guess, is that someone at the last council meeting was taking a large amount of notes on some of the issues that came up during that meeting. And at the end of the meeting, I took it upon myself to get up and charge the city council to give us answers to those questions. Will we hear those answers tonight? Yes or no? I take that as a no. Wonderful. Okay. Regarding this meeting tonight, I requested public records for the contract between DTE and the City of Wayne for the operation, maintenance, and administration costs for this special assessment for lighting. And I was called the same day that this went in by Mr. Ed Queen saying that there is no contract, it's an agreement. That's interesting. Is Ed Queen here tonight?
Yes.
Would you sometime during the meeting, after whenever, give us a rundown on what that assessment or agreement is versus a contract? It's new to me why we don't have a contract. An assessment or an agreement would be just, well, we agree to do this, blah, blah, blah. So that is news to me. Now, Further investigation, I was able to get into the city budget for the year 2019, 2020. In Department 448.00 for street lighting, if that is the only department for street lighting, there is currently a budget for $600,000. And if this special assessment is going to raise additional monies, we have already paid in the winter tax bill for street lighting. And I'm assuming that what we paid accounts for the $600,000 budget. If it does not, then that's fine. If it does, then this special assessment is going to add another $600,000. So that's 1.2 million for the calendar year of 2019, 2020, which seems quite a bit for street lighting. I need an explanation as to what this special assessment is for. Why are we paying another $600,000 into the city budget? Now, on this special assessment, I received notice. I had a rental house in the city of Wayne that was on Ash Street. My wife and I received in the mail a $60 fee for registering the property, again as a rental dwelling. That came to us on 12/13/2018. Please mark these dates. It's important.
You're at your time.
Pardon?
You're at the 3 minutes.
This is important. On 5/1 of this year, I received a notification for $300 for an inspection schedule. Please mark that date, 5/1. On 6/18 of this year, I received the assessment for that property. When we sold the property, it was in 6/26/18, a year ago. Went to this building and engineering department, wanted to find out why am I getting notifications of registration, inspection fee, and
I'm sorry,
Top it off.
you're past your time limit. I gave you
I'm
an
sorry,
extra 30
wait,
seconds.
I need an answer to this. I need an answer.
This isn't street light, this is about street lighting.
This is regarding the special assessment renewal,
Okay?
okay, which I received on 6/18 of this year, the special assessment for that rental property. Now, right directly after we sold the property, we went into the building and engineering department and told them and showed them the paperwork, the sale of the property, the closing date, and everything else. They said, fine, we'll take it off the books. You won't see anything more from us from now on. Well, we did. I want to know, when am I going to stop receiving information on this property? I was told when I went in there last week that we're off the records. There's nothing there. Why are we receiving an assessment for this property when we don't own it?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'd like to know why.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Mohammed Saleh. I represent Albert's Home Furnishings, Wyoming Properties. Comes out to about 5 to 6 different parcels we have. This is in, Mr. Rick here just already touched up on a lot of the fine points that we have. Furthermore, in January, the companies and the contractors you guys are using, they came out to our location, blocked traffic in front of our store, completely butchered our lawn and never rectified it. And we want to know why that is. You know, we have a huge trench in front of our streetlight over there on Michigan Avenue. And furthermore, we think that, me and my brothers, that is, we think that if anyone's gonna be paying for these assessments, it should be everybody on a whole and not just people who are on or next to a streetlight. I think it should be everybody.
It is everybody at a whole.
Everybody, it's not just people who are on a streetlight. Well, Rick already just brushed up on all our points. We just wanted to know why.
Yeah, it's
All right.
everybody as a whole.
Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Mr. Amos?
Good evening. My name is Vern Amos, and right off the bat, I believe your 3 minutes is unconstitutional. This is an open meeting to the public, not a council meeting. There's nothing in the city charter that requires a 3-minute time limit, other than you scheduled a meeting for the township or the city at 7 o'clock, and you have an 8 o'clock start. On the lighting assessment, I feel I'm unduly being charged for a light that has absolutely no effect on my property because of the tree maintenance that is a lack of on all the streets. Half the streets, you can't even read some of the public traffic signs because the trees hang in the way and obstruct your view. I, along with a lot of the other citizens, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was told by you, Mayor, that when we switched to the LED, we would save money, and the money savings would go to convert the remainder of the lights. Consequently, I've been told
Never said
that
that it would go to
the
the
remainder of that
lights.
money, this is my 3 minutes, just shut up.
You can be nicer, Vern.
This is my 3 minutes.
Okay, you can be respectful.
Your minutes are, you can talk whatever you want later. If you didn't save enough money to do that, and then you chose to make the decision to give $7 to individuals to drop it, the assessment from 75 to 69 or 68, that's fine. But I don't believe that that was what was intended and what we were to understand. So, but I don't think your LED is worth a shit, and it's not being maintained. I'd like to see a public viewing of the contract between DTE and the city. And I'm tired of talking to 4 and 5 different administration people and getting 4 and 5 different answers on how we get billed for street lighting and whether or not we have a contract or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you, Mayor Raisa. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act, everybody knows me, so I respectfully say pass. I am here to protest my assessment for the $69.46. As my fellow resident, Mr. Amos, just stated, I'm 2 homes east of the nearest streetlight at the intersection of 4th and Haroon. And as the Mayor Pro Tem stated before, his personal experience with the street lighting, I don't have any benefit because the trees are blocking it. And I don't want the trees hacked down. But if you go down Wayne Road here by the viaduct, I think it's just poor planning. Whoever put the trees in, light posts, whatever. I don't agree with this assessment. We're not locked in for 5 years. Can we do it yearly? Just renew it, come back every year instead of doing 5 years at a time. And another thing, just food for thought. We all know that the University of Michigan is a cutting edge teaching medical school, and they also have a very good research and development with technology. I think it might be a good idea to reach out to them and partner up. As Councilman Miller has stated, he seems well acquainted with solar energy, maybe contacting reaching out to the University of Michigan, see if they have some type of working prototype to where they can come in and test their systems on a few light posts here in Wayne, develop a partnership with them. But this, I echo pretty much what everybody said. And another question too, in the section about where it says, accept the city's portion of the cost of the green lights in the downtown area. Am I correct that that section there, it's the DDA that's paying for the streetlights in the downtown area?
Just keep going.
No, I'm just
I'm
asking.
not answering any questions. Keep talking.
Okay. I'm just, you know, respectfully, and I do this out of respect, Mr. Mayor, and I'm trying, you know, I'm being as courteous, you know, being very courteous. You know, we just have questions that, you know, we'd like to have answers to. Since you folks are the keepers of the public monies, you know, we have a right to know how our tax dollars are being spent and on what. And as another resident had stated previously, I live south of Michigan Avenue, and as you're well aware, and I'm sure Mr. Byton is well aware also.
Mark, you're over your 3 minutes already.
Okay, I'll just say this. I live in a densely populated area, and I believe it was Mrs. Pride, and I agree with her statement, that those of us that live south of Michigan Avenue bear the heaviest burden with the streetlights assessments because our homes are more close together. They're cookie cutter houses built in 1943. So I just, you know, like I said, food for thought, reach out to the University of Michigan Research and Development for their technology department because they're on the cutting edge of everything.
We heard,
But
thank you.
I'd like to know if the DDA is paying for the streetlights. If they are, you know, how much money is that being spent?
Thank you. Anybody else?
John Doe, taxpayer, City of Wayne. We are here because we had an invitation from the city clerk. The city clerk said that this was a public hearing. At most public hearings, 99%, you're here to answer the questions that the public raises to you. We're not playing backgammon games. We're asking you direct questions of which we thought you were prepared or you had the department heads to answer those questions. You have failed in over 4 meetings to answer basic questions that erupt right down the roll here. I asked you about the Home Rule Act. Never got an answer to that. Do you have a contract? Never got an answer to that. That's you to do, Miss City Manager, who's keeping all the notes. Never responded back to those. Where's the contract? Just like the gentleman first dare speak. Where's the contract? We'd like to see it. It was pretty poor to review the finance books and you give all the gossip to say, well, that's the way we do audits. You gotta go through the books to find out where the cooks and heirs are. No, I think when we're paying auditors $30,000, they can give us a face sheet. As we cruise along with our light bill, I want to know, before we even think of passing anything, of what is our light bill? Okay, our light bill that we are being assessed. This goes directly to you, Miss City Clerk. You addressed me and said that we had a meeting here tonight. And you said that your property, if you live on a major street or a secondary one, you will be imposed this extra dollar assessment. Now, I find it pretty poor. Is anybody going to answer questions here tonight? Or did you come mum as a word? Because the question is, if I don't pay my light,
And we,
that assessment that I think that's improper, what are you gonna do about it? Don't answer at 34 seconds and running. Okay, tell you what we do with water bills. The city here, if you don't pay it, then we send it down to Wayne County. So same thing applies down here. If we don't pay the bill, and I'm running past that clock, because I told you why, is you sent this letter to me, and I have my assessment, as this man, I'm sure back here, he's keeping good notes. An assessment on properties usually have the parcel number of the property so you can have somebody intervene on your behalf. Have a lawyer or a proxy. But we can't because you did not identify it on that piece of paper. And let it be known that your piece of paper that you had to tell us that there was a meeting here that I received by the United States Postal Service,
Okay, you're past
it
time.
didn't have, did you hear me?
I did hear you.
Okay, then don't use my time up. Keep drinking your water.
No, your times are already up, Vic.
I am saying to
Vic?
you that that postal, that letter didn't even have a postmark on it. So it doesn't have a date stamp or when it came, and the letter that you sent us, which is for an official meeting, did not have a date on it.
Okay, thank you,
Now, I
Vic.
call that pretty poor business. And in closing, I live pretty close to Mr. Albert's Furniture. And I think it's pretty damn deplorable too, that you wreck people's property, you want them to keep their lawn mowed and clean and keep the lights going on there, but you can't readily enough come down there. You're tooting your horn over there at the Gowdy Park and all this other place. Why don't you get out on the road and take a look and take care of the man?
Just
He's
sit
been
down,
here for a
Vic.
long time.
I know what's going on over there.
Yeah, you know a lot.
Just
of
sit down, Vic.
You know so much, then why haven't you answered any of these questions up here?
Vic, sit down, please.
Don't you call me by my first name again. I call that, Mr. Mayor, inappropriate. John Raisa.
You can't even pronounce.
Point of order, please. Point of order.
Yes, sir?
Thank you.
Just sit down.
Let's cool it for a minute, please.
You know, this is supposed to be a respectful meeting, and this is the third person that's been very disrespectful. This needs to stop.
This is the third person?
You've been awful. You've been horrible.
Please, point of order.
Point of order,
Enough.
please.
I'm leading this meeting.
Hey, I beg your pardon.
Just sit down.
See? Point of order. It's the citizens who elected you. So why don't you take it off
Sit down,
the-
Vic.
We're not doing Gowdy Park security here. Just sit down.
Yeah, okay.
Pardon?
Sit down. If I have somebody else, please.
Please.
Anybody else?
And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. And thank you for the point of order, sir.
My name is Martha Burgess. I live on Haroon Court. I also have no benefit from a street light. We live on a court with 3 houses. Trees totally block it. None of our 3 houses get any light from that. So we have a block that's dark. And also, in the letter that we received, it said that $69.46 will be due December 1st of each year. How is that going on the taxes if it's due December 1st? When the winter taxes aren't due until February 15th. Do we have to make a special payment? And are the only people voting on this property owners who will be paying property taxes on the council? That's it.
Anybody else?
Take it this is a public comment period?
This is a public hearing.
Okay. Am I restricted to any issues on the agenda?
Yes, just the street lighting assessment at the roll.
All right. My comments were more generally directed to
That-
my happiness in living in Wayne.
That's at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
My name is Lori, and I live at 3547. And we have a street light there. But I'm not exactly clear on the 6946. Do we mail it in, or do we have to keep the street light on? I mean, I don't, are we answering questions, or?
We're going to answer at the end. He's
Okay,
taking all
well,
the,
all right, basically, and I don't mind homeless people, but they're still out there, no matter what, whether the street light's on or not. You know, paying $70 a year to keep it on, every one of is paying $70, or we're splitting that up, or? I don't understand.
it's split up between everybody.
So everybody's paying
Something.
$70?
Something,
to
yeah.
keep certain streetlights
It's
on?
all the streetlights.
Okay. Well, as far as that's concerned, though, if we do keep them on, is there gonna be like more efficient bulbs, like the LED? Is there gonna be any kind of like Wi-Fi, like a camera system? Because I'm on that corner, you know, and to be able to put cameras like, you know, the Ring or whatever that is to see out on my property. But if we could put like a camera system, because it is higher up, you know, that would be beneficial as well. That way I can see who's graffitiing my fence. Yeah, because I have the wooden fence that runs all down Avon, and they take their spray paint and write all down my fence, and nobody, you know, and I get in trouble for it. They gave me a citation, like I graffitied my fence. But if we could utilize that tall post, you know, or it be off the majority of the time, and then just be, like if somebody comes by, you know what I'm saying? What's that called? You know what I'm talking about, right? So it's not like on all night, but if somebody comes, like a motion detector. Yeah. But like if there was some kind of camera system, you know, that would be able to trigger when it came on to see what's going on, I think, you know, I would be more apt to be willing to pay this. You know, or if my house got broke into or vandalized again or what have you, we'll have a brighter, clearer.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, Miss Lori, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your address.
Oh, 3547. Barbara.
Barbara, okay, thank you.
Do we have other residents that want to make a comment before I, okay. Dan.
I live at 4912 Howell. I'm all for lighting. The lighting that the city has at my place right now is, of course, under a tree, like these other guys were saying. I had DTE come out and put this light up. I pay $12 a month for it. I also did the same thing at the business. The address there is 33029 Michigan Ave, which I'm also going to be assessed there. Plus, I have the proposed ice cream parlor at Annapolis and 4th Street. And I just went on the record for my addresses, so I'm planning on doing some security lighting there. It's $12 a month. It's a little bit high, a little bit more than $69 a year. It's $140. But I'm already under contract with DTE. And I just wanted to get my address and stuff on the record for the tax bill.
Okay, I appreciate that, Dan, thank you. Anybody else? Kathy?
Kathy Rockwell, Wayne, 35432. You made a statement a few minutes ago that everybody was the $69 and so many cents. Does that include the businesses? Because I've talked to some of the businesses and they said they're,
It's based on frontage,
on frontage, that there's.
but everybody's
high, and
everybody's
some of them
getting a
say
bill.
They can't really afford that.
Everybody gets a bill.
Okay,
It varies on the frontage.
on the frontage of the property, okay.
It-
So if my property is more than, I'm on a residential street, but I own 4 lots, does that make my property go up?
You get 4 based on, unless they're combined.
Okay, because that's all combined into one thing,
If you're combined into one, that'll be just based on your frontage.
just on the 69. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Byton, would you want to come up and answer some questions? Did you have anything that you wanted? You had,
Mayor Racy, members of the council. I did want to get up just to remind the council, and I want the city attorney to keep me in line if I'm off track here, but the purpose of this meeting was just to hear objections from the public. That's why the meeting is called. So it's mostly for us to, we've been through this, just a quick review, we've been through the street lighting assessment a couple times before in 2012, 2014. We've expired now, so it's time for us to go through this process again. And part of this process is a time dedicated just to hearing the concerns of the public. So this is not so much to be about dialogue as it is to be about hearing what's going on with our residents and business owners as it relates to street lighting.
Yes, Mr. Byton, I think there is a question regarding the bill. Does someone have to send, I think there's a question, does somebody have to send a separate check or separate amount of money into the city? Could you address that question?
When we're saying.
Yeah, how the amount is assessed?
The amount is assessed based on the street lighting bill that we get, and from DTE, we add up those 12 months of bills, and we have a total number. And we, back in 2012, worked out a structure to pay for that. And so as it goes up, the bill goes up. As the bill goes down, the cost goes down. So it's only the amount that we're receiving from DTE that we're assessing the residents and business owners for the city of Wayne. That happens once a year at the winter tax time. Ahead of that tax time, we look at the increase or the decrease and adjust the rate based on that increase or decrease.
So a citizen, as long as they're paying their normal property taxes, this would get folded into that. There's no need for any sort of additional payment.
This is part of their existing winter taxes. There's
Okay.
nothing-
Thank you. I just tried to answer that one question.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close special assessment hearing.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Public comments for matters not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The city council asks that if you do have a question or concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager, and if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and to the city council. The mayor, the city council, and department heads may not respond to the questions at the meeting, but will respond by the next city council meeting or as soon as possible once they have looked into the matter.
Any comments? Mr. Amos?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Vern Amos, and I live on Stellwagen. I did not become rude to you until you interrupted me, and I viewed that as being rude to me. So you got disrespect and rudeness back from me. So let's let it stand at that. Thank you.
My name is Gary Kaufman, and I live at 35200 Sims Apartment 314. I just thought when I came to this meeting that I wanted to say how happy I am to be a resident of Wayne. I've lived in Wayne now for 14 months. I hear a lot of talk from other residents how proud they are to be from Wayne. And so I'll add my 2 cents to that I am also. I love the concerts at Gowdy Park particularly. And this is the second meeting I've attended. It seems like, although I'm not the most knowledgeable person about the issues being discussed, that I think we have a diligent council. And I hate to see the rancor that I just saw. And I think everybody in general, whenever there are disagreements among people, need to bend over backwards to try to understand and listen and compromise. And so that's what I would counsel everybody. I think that this being a distressed, economically distressed community, I think taxpayers should understand that sometimes assessments need to be made to balance a budget. I don't think, I would be surprised if anybody working for Wayne was getting rich. or misappropriating monies. But I don't want to undercut the complaints of others that may be legitimate complaints that I don't have much knowledge to speak on. I just would want to quote Rodney King in saying, can't we all get along? That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Mayor Reza. The comment is about the survey that's online in the hard copy. It's just my opinion. I don't think it really addresses some core issues such as road drainage, and I know there's a difference between county roads, city roads, state roads. It seems to, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, it seems too one-sided for, particular issues. Like I said, it really doesn't address the core issues such as like the infrastructure. And I know we're on a limited budget, but I think a new survey could be constructed, if you will, and to get into the depths of the real issues at hand. I mean, it's a decent survey, but it really doesn't address the core issues such as, say, for example, funding for the police department. I know it was mentioned, I can't remember which council member addressed it, but I think it was Council Member Miller about maybe looking into solar power for the municipal buildings such as police, city hall, fire department, something to renewable energy, I guess you would call it, and to bring the costs down. Because if we bring the costs down for those buildings, we could take that money and maybe hire another police officer or two, or invest it in personnel at the fire department, police department. I know the new, and I don't know the term, maybe Mr. Queen can address it, the vacuum truck that we just purchased. I know it's been in the shop a couple times, and thankfully it's under warranty for blown hydraulic lines, I guess. Our street sweeper, the folks over at DPW, the mechanics have, from what I understand, have been welding the frame several times. It's broke, so just something for thought, if we could come up with a new survey that really addresses core issues, if you will, for lack of better words, and thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rockwell.
Kathy Rockwell, I noticed you have a special council meeting August 6th. Are they recorded or not? Because the last special meeting we had, when I talked to, is it Jeffrey? He said he thought they were going to be recorded so we could see them when we went home, or the people that weren't here. Are they, I have all television and none of the special meetings are ever recorded. Is it just because of the WOW TV, or is it something to do with the cable?
I saw him in
here,
the back. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're,
Could you check on it for me? Thank you.
they're online. Anybody else?
Just one more clarification, point of clarification. Rick Stoner again. So at this special council meeting, will the issues that have been brought up tonight, questions and so forth, be answered at that meeting? Or when will they?
I think we're going to have you talk with our, Mr. Byton.
Talk with him, true. Okay.
Yeah, and you'll get
But
your,
any of the other questions that were brought up as far as the 600 grand in the city budget, this additional assessment's going to add another 600 grand, so forth?
I'll answer that for you if you don't mind.
Sure.
So it's a renewal, so it's not extra. I mean, we've already been doing this for the last 5 years. It's just continuing as we've been doing. It expired, and we had to do this in order to keep the assessment going. So it's nothing new that we haven't been doing already.
Okay, it's in the winter tax bill for that
Correct.
$64. Okay, and this is just to reaffirm that that's going to be on our taxes.
It's the process we have to do.
Okay, so it's not an extra, a bit of money that we have to pay in December.
It's the same as what you had last year.
Comes, that $64 for the majority, whatever, comes due on our winter tax bill. So there's not an additional $64 to
Correct.
raise another 600,000.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so, now, of the questions that are not answered tonight, is that the meeting that they will be answered at?
We have a meeting after this, but I think you'll be able to answer all your questions that you have.
Okay, so, all right,
Okay,
okay. All
thank
right,
you.
I believe I got it.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Go ahead and move the agenda. Okay.
Mr.
Amen. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Osborne Wayne. I would like to know when these questions are going to be answered in regards to this public hearing. Plain and simple. I thought we came prepared last time, and as you've mentioned, we've done it before, yes, 10 years. Now we're just rerouting it and doing it for, you think you're going to do it for 5 years, but it hasn't come for a vote yet. So, who says, when you first started this, it was only on a yearly basis? Based upon the preparation that you and your executives have in order, I would greatly appreciate if you'd forego it and just keep rolling along year by year until you do get all your adequate information to answer my questions. I had 4 specific ones, like I said, in 4 meetings. They've never been answered. The documents have not been ready or shown. You are the keeper of the records. So therefore, you should have been asked for them and publicly available. We do not come with these things lightly. It's our money. Last time Miss DTE was here, she gave us an overview. One thing that stuck in my mind, she said, well, if you don't report that that lamp pole is out within 48 hours, you, the city, will still pay the bill. It's up to the residents to notify. And I haven't heard any strong, earnest thing out of any of you delegated people to urge our citizens to say, hey, if your light bulb is out there, please notify us because we're getting charged for it anyway. And I think there are some alternatives. And I deeply request that you look for this information that's being asked for today, tonight. And I could, through you, the chair, Mr. Bosnick, could he answer what is a public hearing in regard versus a regular agended meeting?
Yeah, we're not answering questions right now.
I didn't ask you if you were answering it. I asked if through the
It's
chair.
through me,
could he
and I said
answer the
no.
question? Pardon?
You're at 17 seconds.
Well, you've just used 7 of mine. I just asked through the chair, could you ask him?
No,
The word is what?
I'm not going to. You got 7 seconds.
We're not at the carnival, sir. I asked you through the chair, could you please ask him?
No,
And the answer is no?
that's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, anybody else?
I didn't hear the answer.
I've said no 3 times. Anybody else? Okay. Go ahead and move the agenda.
Comments from members of City Council.
Does anybody have any comments? No?
Pass.
Okay. We'll just, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.